Hello and welcome, broadcasters. I am so excited to be here and to be sharing some wonderful techniques with you with the wonderful Garrett. I'm going to go ahead and let him onto the screen right now and say hello to one of my favoriteest people in the whole wide world. We spend a bit of time together, pushing each other and really growing with one another. And I wanted to bring forward one of our favorite conversations around content marketing and social media marketing. So I'm going to hand the voice box over to Brandon and let him introduce himself for a brief moment.
Yeah, so thanks for putting this together, Sam. We figured out kind of at the 11th hour, right? How to do the text thing. This multi broadcast is new, so I'm excited to learn how to make that work from you. And you're right. Yeah, we've been chatting for quite a while. Met through Joe Bauer's one of Joe Bauer's training, and kind of been pushing each other along ever since. Quick overview, I guess, for me. Uh, the long boring story. I did the traditional career escalator thing in America, right? Went to high school, got good grades, went to college, got a good job, all that stuff, and then got burnt out. And now here I am doing the entrepreneur thing, helping run a sales consulting company, and getting to spend time with the lovely Miss Samantha. So pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, always, always, always a pleasure. Anytime that I can get you up on screen with me, I take the opportunity. Are you crazy? Yeah. It's been such a wild ride. Brandon is absolutely spectacular with sales. He has a company called the Closers Club, where he participates in a company called the Closers Club, where they really make a difference in people's closing ratios. And yeah, so you've been coming up with some really interesting creative marketing techniques for your social media. I'd love to hear a little bit about that before we get into some of the tricks that I want to offer as well.
Yeah. I guess the big thing I think that's been the shift for me recently is finally getting, I guess, disciplined enough is the right word, to create the systems and processes needed to make creating content easy. Many people out there feel that um, creating a content's a grind. Like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not the kind. If you're anything like me, like I want to be in the moment. Like I don't want to feel like I have to try to capture every moment of my life. Like it's very overwhelming to try to document, right? Versus create. What I have found that's helpful, especially the last 6 months or so, has just been um, keeping myself alert to things that resonate with me, whether it's a an infographic or something online that someone else shares, that I can pass along that value, and then obviously create some copy, and some additional insight beyond that, or even just the old fashioned. I took a page, I originally took a page out of my grandpa's book. Of carrying a leather bound notebook around. I don't carry a little pocket sized leather bound notebook around, but I got a stack of index cards on my desk. If I'm listening to a podcast, reading a book, anything like that pops up, I write it down. I had to write. I started to have to write that stuff down because then I'd
Mm-hmm.
forget. And then eventually, I found myself with this giant content library of stuff that rather than having to figure out, hey, how am I going to capture this moment and use this? It's just, hey, how can I use this message to bring people value? And then if I'm in the moment later on, hey, I'm going to go for a ride on my motorcycle or what, doing something fun with the family, whatever it is, then I can capture that and then share that and let people into the world some more. So I think you really got to have systems and processes in place that help you plan things out. Because doing it on the fly every morning, coming into your office is a grind, right? Like,
Well, yeah, and it creates that inconsistency. I know we talk about that a lot. I do that habit as well where I write down ideas, but if you don't have those ideas written down, if you don't have something to reference, then they just come in and they pop out just
yep.
as fast. So if you've got something that you can reference to, then you always have the opportunity to be stimulated. And like you said, if you're out on your motorcycle or out at the lake, those are what people want to see. People want
Hmm.
to see you. They want to experience what your life is like vicariously. And we've had this conversation, you and I, Brandon. When you first
Hmm.
started doing your creative marketing, and you'd start doing lifestyle posts, and I'd be like, do more of that, do more of that, right? And you have, and your engagement has shot up. Like, your engagement's better than my engagement right now. And that's spectacular, because as entrepreneurs, we really want to celebrate each other's growth. We don't want to bash each other, because how is that going to help? We really want to encourage, dissect, and help each other grow.
Hmm. Absolutely. And having those things in place gives you that freedom to, believe it or not, be more creative.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
you've got not a safety net, but you've built the structure, the framework. Like right now, if you were to log into the social content platform that I use to manage it, I just use I'll let the cat out of the bag. I use Hootsuite. I use the
Yeah,
free
you do.
version. So, so there's some limitations there, but because I've developed those process, I know where my content library is. I carve out a little bit of time each day. I just go in, each day, make a post or two that's scheduled out, and then take 3 or 4 hours, like on a Saturday or a Sunday, and really dig into creating some stuff. And because I've already got that library created and built up, that allows the creative energy to flow when I need it, versus sitting down in the office the day of and being like, "Oh my god, I got to post today." I don't have to worry about today's post. It's already scheduled. I can worry about creating something fresh and new with good energy from where I'm at now, because I get to do it, versus, "Oh my god, I have to post something today."
Yeah, yeah. And I've really noticed a difference in your engagement having doing that and having that consistency, because consistency really is key. And if you're not having that all set up, if you don't have those processes set up, yeah, you just kind of live in the void of inconsistency. You'll have something brilliant one day, and then if you go 5 days dry, then that just kills your engagement. And on that note, do you feel that having these processes in place really does make a difference in your engagement level?
I think it does, because again, and I'll go back to the freedom the freedom that having that structure allows. Um, I can be more mindful now when I'm on social media. Whereas before I was trying to do, it'd be like an hour, and I'd be trying to engage and create my content and like all this, and all of a sudden I've got like 10 minutes left, because my creative well was dry, because I felt like I was being forced to produce something. So now, like, I get on, and when I post the same time every day. Hootsuite is fabulous for that. Most scheduling software are like that. So I know that 30 minutes before, hey, I'm going to get on. I'm going to engage with anyone that's engaged, overnight since yesterday. Comment, like, share, like, do all that kind of fun relationship, audience building type stuff. Getting to know people. The reason we all get into this, right? I do all of that, and then that, because that engagement is already there, the algorithms tend to pick that up. And then when the posts happen, immediately following that, people that I was just interacting with are more inclined to see that, and then the engagement takes off. I started doing that about consistently,
3 weeks ago?
probably 8 or 10 weeks ago. And I mean, yeah, you're right. Like the engagement has drastically gone up, where I would only get, a handful of likes or comments on a week's worth of posts. Now I get 50, 60, engagements, multiple, numerous comments, all that kind of stuff. That stuff does matter. The consistency is important for anybody out there who's not going to, if you don't take away anything else from what we talk about today, or what Samantha talks about, the consistency is key. The consistency
Yeah.
is key. I mean, you can let out 100,000 gallons of water all at once on a boulder, and it's not going to do anything but splash all over the place and make everything wet. But a single drop of water, 1 minute after one, 1 second, 1 minute after another, after another, eventually will wear a hole all the way through that boulder. And it's not done by sheer brute force of will. It's done by consistency.
Man, that is such a great metaphor. Very, very relatable. Um, I had a question, but I can't remember what it was. In regards to your content marketing, it sounds like having these systems put in place and by having this consistency, that it just makes the job more enjoyable overall. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I don't, again, like the creative artist, or the writer. We all get writer's block. We all have those times. Like that's never going to change. But having those things in place is allow you to be prepared for that, and allows you to just let go and create from a place of enjoyment, and desire to give rather than a place of, oh, this is a task I have to do. Like, the energy you put into it is the same energy that's going to come out of it. And when you are able to create with that pure intention and the desire to help, from rather than, oh, I have to do this today, it completely changes everything. Because everything just opens up for you, mentally, emotionally, business, everything.
So, for anyone that's out there watching, if you are wanting to comment and let us know what your takeaways are in this broadcast, please let us know. Any questions, we're here for you. Um, we're not getting live comments up here in this HAPS app as of yet. But let's take this opportunity to share this broadcasting software that I just introduced you to today. And that
Yeah.
is this HAPS app. That's right. It was just too cool not to share. We were talking like, should we broadcast from Zoom? Should we broadcast from StreamYard? And I said, HAPS, HAPS, let's choose HAPS. So I'm falling in love with this software. It is, in my opinion, more powerful than StreamYard. It allows you to be able to have your tickers. You can have your commercials, your posters. As you can see, we can do multi broadcasts. I believe we can do a multi broadcast up to 8, 10 people. I'm not exactly sure. But what is absolutely spectacular is that you can broadcast up to 10 Facebook channels, plus your YouTube, plus your Twitter if you're connected. So, if this is something that you are doing for a living and broadcasting is something that you add to your social media toolbox, I highly, highly, highly recommend the HAPS app. Okay, that off to the side. I want to talk a little bit about that consistency with getting creative in your marketing plan because, yeah, like you're using this Hootsuite strategy, and it is very much working for you. I know that you've also cleaned out your friends list a bit to make it a little bit more direct to really engage with your audience, and I think that's really working for you as well. I wanted to bring up reels and stories because they tend to make people a little bit confused, and how do we use this and what good is it, and all of these questions that fly around. And I've seen very, very, very few people get this right because what I see most often with the stories and the reels is people are just posting up a picture and they'll put on like a gif or two on there and just show a day of their life, or they'll just talk their way through. But there's so much more that's available to this. And I wanted to share this really, really potent strategy because one of the things that's starting to fall off the scale of social media marketing is live streaming. No, we're doing a live stream right now. But in order to really get live stream engagement, you need to stay on a cast for about 25 to 45 minutes before you'll ever even get seen, before your stuff will ever get passed out. And that can be really strenuous on a content creator, right? Like, what are you going to talk about for half an hour? I mean, granted, if you're a good speaker, you can talk about anything. but that gets pretty tiresome after a while, especially if you're trying to be consistent with that strategy. Input, reels, and stories. So, what I love about the reels and stories is it is really the space of engagement right now in the social marketing arena. And I really feel that's because of the 15-second bite chunks. Now, you haven't played with this strategy much yet, but I do see you playing with it a little bit. Like you'll take your posts and you'll throw them up there. What kind of engagement do you get? You get a little bit of
Yeah, a
engagement.
little bit, significantly less than the post, obviously, but yeah, because I just repurpose what I've got for that day, shrink the picture down or whatever it might be, and throw the copy in there. Um, I would honestly, I think that it, and this bring the whole reels and story thing brings up a very interesting point because it is a shift in one how creators have to create, but two how people are consuming. Um, because like when I do those posts for me as a creator, so if anybody out there in Facebook land wants some feedback from a minnow in the realm of Facebook revenue that they generate, right? Um, I have to do all of that from my phone, from the mobile app. The web based version does not allow me to do much of anything in terms of getting creative with the story. So like I have to go in and copy and paste, then open it up and do all that on my phone. Which, you know, if I had if I understood it more, or it was more user friendly on the web version, I think what many creators would probably have already mastered stories and reels. But the fact that it's something else that I have to learn right now is just not, it doesn't generate much for me. But on the whole, I get to maybe 3 dozen views or so and some engagement on the stories when I put them up. But I don't expect much because it's
No,
a duplicate of what I got. It's more just to continue to feed that algorithm what it wants.
right? Yeah, so there's so much potential that's available, and I love some of the things that you brought up, especially the fact that it is a mobile solitary app, that you can't access it online. So some of the things that I do, it might seem a little complicated, but it's not overly complicated. What you'll notice is when I create my reels, I will run anywhere from a 3 minute to a 7 minute video in those reels. And I will get viewers that will watch the engagement all the way through. And in my personal opinion, I think that is fantastic, especially when engagement and attention spans are so small. And the reason that I think that this works, and this is all theory, of course, but you know how we used to watch movies and we'd
Mhm.
love movies. We'd sit down and watch a 2 hour movie and it like just consume it, right?
Mhm.
How hard is it to just sit down and watch a movie today?
Right.
Sometimes it's like pulling teeth, right? It's like, oh my God, am I really going to sit down and watch 2 hours of a movie?
Right.
But, but think about a Netflix series and how it's like in 45-minute chunks. And if even if it's in 45-minute chunks, you can sit there and watch like 6 hours of it, but you won't sit and watch a 2 hour movie.
Yeah, it's easy to blow an afternoon on Netflix and chill.
So, so that's kind of the same with reels versus live feed. Is with the live feed, it's like it's the same content, but because you have to sit there, it's like, oh my God, am I ever going to get through this? But because the reels are in these 15-second increments, all of a sudden it just feels easier to consume. And I think it's because you can walk away from it easier, but you
Mhm.
don't, right?
Right.
And so for that reason, people are actually watching things all the way through, which in my it blows my mind. So
Right.
I do want to share. I want to acknowledge your questions in how I'm going ahead and doing that, because you did mention the difficulty of moving your stuff from your desktop to your mobile device. So what I do is once I create a piece of content, and some of my stuff is snazzy. It doesn't have to be snazzy. It's just the way that I create. But you take your piece of content and you shrink it down. So what you need is a compression software. right? To compress it down to, I do it at about 25 megabytes. There's a reason for this, because what I do is I pass it into my messenger box. I just send it to my messenger box, and then I download it onto my phone, onto my mobile device.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I break it into those 15-second increments. And like I said, I'm getting anywhere between 90 to 200 views. And on average, it's between 20 and 30 people that are watching all the way through, which I think's absolutely spectacular. Not only
Mm-hmm.
are they watching it all the way through, but they're engaging, they're commenting, they're looking for, like, these are genuine leads.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, again, just another way of being able to bring some sense of creativity to your marketing platform. And nothing does better than lifestyle content, whether that is on your feed or in your reels or whatever. If you can give a piece of who you are and the things that are going on in your life, whether it's your family, your pets, motorcycling, right? Whatever that might be for you, if you can open up your world and let people in, that is going to be your primer into sharing your more robust stuff that's going to create your leads. That's what I've noticed anyway.
For sure. No, and you're right. It's very interesting how that type of content works versus others, and it, it work. Obviously, there's a little tweaking that goes on, but that approach truly works on just about any on any platform. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
granted, we're streaming here, primarily on Facebook. LinkedIn is obviously very different than a Facebook or a Twitter or an Instagram or even a YouTube. But I have a pretty significant following um, on LinkedIn um, as compared to my Facebook. And I mean, it's the same content. I'm just repurposing it. But what I've noticed is a lot of your big influencers and social media marketers, the Shay Rowbottoms, the Lena Cardones, the Ed Milettes, the Jordan Belforts, all of them. They obviously they cater the copy and the messaging to where it's more business based, but
Mm-hmm.
it's lifestyle all day long when you actually look at what it what actually causes you to stop scrolling, right?
Yeah.
That psychological pattern interrupt, whether it's one of them working out in the gym or whatever it might be. The picture or what causes you to stop may be completely unrelated to the post, or it may be related. But at the end of the day, that peak in the world is what stops the scroll.
Yeah, I really feel that, the more that you can integrate the message into these different points of view is what really gets people to stop. And on that note, the more that you can get creative with your visuals, the more that people are going to want to really engage with you. When I talk to my students in the Broadcast Brilliant arena in my Broadcast Brilliant program, I talk about stock footage all day long, right? Like, just start rolling your camera when you're out and about, and challenge yourself to get creative with your shots, because when you do that, that's when you can start to tell your story in unique ways. And if you build that on top of the consistency that Brandon was talking about, oh, my wrong hand. If you build that on top of the consistency that Brandon was talking about, well, you're going to hit a home run. And all you need at that point is to have clarity in your product and service.
Yep, absolutely. And the other often unanticipated benefit of what you just talked about too is as you build that habit and you create all that stock footage or whatever, or curating other content, whatever it is, if you take the time to actually reflect on all of it in its entirety and look at it, what things, what content are you repurposing? What's the message? Why is it resonating with you when you're out just rolling to accumulate that stock footage? Like, what is it that's catching your eye? Like, go back and try to be objective about what it is that you're actually doing, because that's going to provide you with a different level of clarity and insights about how you see the world, and the message that you're actually putting out there, versus it just being spur of the moment. Like, you're not going to give it two thoughts. Oh, well, I'm going to stand here. I'm going to get this particular busy street. Well, why did you get it from that angle? Like,
Yeah.
why did you feature, why did you pick what you picked for the composition there? Like, you may not know it in the moment, and you may not realize it till months and months later, but that creative energy that flows through all of us is going to influence you subconsciously to capture the things that you're going to need later. Um, and it's only when you commit to allowing that to happen do you start to see those synchronicities. I mentioned earlier about scheduling content out. It's very, very interesting, at least for me personally, to see that despite having no um, significant content plan. And when I say that, I mean, like, I don't pick like a theme for this week and make a bunch of content around a theme or a month. Like, I don't do anything like that. Um, I have kind of hashtags that I'll try to keep a day of the week to. But other than that, like, that's it. I don't do any curriculum type stuff. But it's interesting to where something will have happened in my life or in somebody else's life that I may know personally, that there's no way I could have planned the content that day. There's just absolutely no way. And whatever it is, maybe it's the copy that I came up with, or maybe it's just the inspirational message that I share, like, whatever it is, hits home for somebody, or even for me sometimes. More often than not, it ends up hitting me with what I have going on. But you never get to experience the joy of that until you discipline yourself to develop that level of consistency. And then once you get there, then well, then it's nice, right? I mean, you've gotten there too. It makes everything so much easier in your life and in your
Oh
business.
yeah, absolutely. And I can't tell you how many times that you've come to me and be like, I'm about to post this week. We're having a conversation on this post that I'm putting out, or I just did a post based on this conversation, and it does it creates those serendipities in order for you to get that clarity and those messages across that you truly want to deliver. And the one thing that I've really noticed, especially as a content creator, is the more vulnerable that you're willing to be in your content, whether it's your messaging or your visuals, the more engagement you're going to get. And one of the things that I see a lot of people doing that's a total mistake is one offing that content. So why wouldn't you take that piece of content, whether it hits a home run today or not? Like, this is your creative heart. So why wouldn't you repurpose that and put it into a scheduling program, much like you're doing, Brandon, to have it go out? And maybe if it doesn't hit a home run like two or three times, but give it an opportunity to be seen by different eyeballs and to hit the hearts of different people.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And that's, yeah, and that like that is the key of repurposing your content, you know. Um yeah. Anything to add on that?
I think the thing too that to add on to that is, you know, just because just because a particular post doesn't take off doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's not good. It don't rely on the metrics. Like, the metrics are just a measure, are just an arbitrary measurement of vanity that make you feel good. It's not about necessarily chasing the likes or the engagement. It's about the impact, right? So, like, if you've got a post that has spoke to you, at some point, if as you continue to repackage that, it's going to land with somebody, or you're going to get renewed clarity about the concept. And that will tweak what you present or how you present it, and that's when the message is going to land. That you're not going to get there without the consistency, though.
No.
That's the thing. You've got to commit to consistency.
Yeah, the consistency is absolutely the magic. And I know when I tend to spin out of control, which I do sometimes, I think we're all like apt to that, every once in a while. But when I tend to spin out of control, it's because I've stepped out of consistency. And it really does make all of the difference, whether, again, you're using a scheduling software or not, or whether you're committed to, daily practitioners in your life, whether that's running or whatever it could be. If you start to slip on your consistencies, you'll notice you'll start to slip in all kinds of other areas of your life. So it really is about staying on top of yourself and putting those implications in place where you can absolutely have the winning hand, right? Stack the
Hmm.
deck in your favor.
Right, absolutely, and that's it, the creation of the systems, the processes, like all of that helps sustain the consistency. It doesn't create the consistency, but it helps maintain it. It helps stack the deck in your favor, like you said, and that's super important because we are all human. Like, I mean, you take it, so you take, probably one of the most, as far as personal brands go online, one of the most recognizable proliferator of content, Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V is all over everything, everywhere, all times because the dude's got a camera following him around. All it's massive, right? But it's that consistency with Gary. Like he's always going to be there, and that is super super important to drive, like I talked about, to drive that creative engine, and get where you need to be in your business. But and this is something that I experienced probably not too long ago. Um, to go back to kind of that repurposing of the content and all that stuff. Like what I cannot stress the importance of the consistency enough. And when you have those systems and processes in place, it allows you to let go. Again, that's going to come. That's going to continue to come back. I think anytime you and I talk about this, um, and you're able to just be free and create, and get new clarity about the content that you've already produced or the content you're going to be producing. It The untold benefits from that are almost endless. And having those structures in place also allows you, as a beginner, or even an experienced social marketer, to kind of be insulated from kind of the mental, oh, that post bombed. Well, because
Yeah.
you don't have to give a shit anymore, because you've got the next 3 weeks of content already created. Like when you get up in the morning and you create a post, and like you've put all of your energy for the day in that hour into that one post, and it doesn't go anywhere, that's very, very defeating. But if you've already got everything built up because you've been consistent, it's easy to say, okay, well, that one didn't work. Okay, whatever. Tomorrow's will be better. It's hard to take that unattached approach without all the back end already being in place.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I want to take this opportunity to mention too, on the conversation of consistency, that putting these strategies in place that hold you accountable to your content creation, um, it's just a rocket ship. It really is in creating that engagement for yourself and in the growth of your business, but it's not necessary. Okay. Consistency can be as short, and I talk about this in the hero's journey in my broadcast boot camp. It can be as short as you want it to be, or as long as you want to be. The choice is yours on how long you want that route from A to B to B,
Hmm.
right? And that will be driven by your level of consistent effort.
Right.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make that mention that, whether you choose to do a strategy like this, or if you choose the more inconsistent but consistent path, you're going to get to the same place eventually, but the
Hmm.
time in getting there will be vastly different.
Right.
And if
And
you can
and
train, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
as I say, and the big thing too is it's about creating that value in content that actually brings about something positive for somebody, causes them to think, causes them to have an aha, like whatever it is. And to your point, like the consistency doesn't have to be every single day. I mean, I mentioned Gary, and now we're talking about consistency, and someone's like, oh my god, you mean I got to post 17 times a day on 13 different platforms, and twice at lunch, and before I go to bed, and after I fed the dog? And no, that's
Oh
not
my
what it
god,
is.
I'm tired already. I can't handle this, man.
Exactly. That's not what it is. Consistency is whatever touching of your audience that you have. that's where it needs to stay, right? My audience may not want to be touched as often as Gary's does. Gary's may want to be touched less than even the next person's, right? It's knowing what do they want? What do they want and need? How can I serve them? And then once I figured that out, okay, now how do I best serve them on these posts on Tuesday and Friday, 11
I love
o'clock.
it.
Like if I know that's when my audience primarily likes to engage, that's when they know that I'm going to show up, then that's when I need to be there. Like come hell or high water, be there. Even if it's one day a week.
Yeah.
I know people that only
Yeah.
post once a week and have massive audiences. It's not be it's because they're consistent with their execution, they're consistent with their message, and they're consistent with the value that they're providing people in the messaging and the content they're producing.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Thank you for making that point so much clearer for me. And yeah, it's just it's really about that care of how you want to look after and get your message across, because that's essentially what social media is all about, is being able to share that piece of your heart with others and create that impact. That's why social media was really created, was to touch other people's hearts. So if you're not doing that, then today's the day, right? Today's the day. No better time than
Right.
now.
That's right. Best time to the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The next best time's right now.
That's right. That's right. I love it. Do you have any other points that you might want to share with our audience at this point in time?
We've covered a lot of ground in 30 minutes. Like
I know. I'm really rather
I hope
impressed too.
everyone's not like feeling like we drowned them or anything. 'Cause I mean, we really went through a lot.
Yeah, well, that's kind of our conversations. We've been doing this for a while, Brandon, and we like to get to the meat and grit of getting these things done, because that's how movement is made. Movement is made fast. I always say, you're on the right path when things happen in the flash of an instant and you don't even remember what happened. It was just like, whoa,
Yep,
and here I am.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and that comes about because momentum builds momentum. It may be hell getting something going, but momentum builds momentum. Once you got it going, it just keep going. It just keep going.
So good. So good. So how can people reach you, Brandon?
Oh my. Well, you can check out my Facebook business page. Obviously, I do have a personal page as well. You're welcome to connect with me there on Facebook. I think it's just you search my name, I'll pop up for my business page and all that stuff. You can search out Closers Club, www.closersclub.co.uk. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Just search me up there. You'd be really be easy to find me there as well, because I'm pretty active on both platforms.
And again, Brandon is brilliant in the sales arena. If you are looking for any assistance in your sales and marketing, I do strongly suggest Brandon. Hell and High Water. He is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. Um, and yeah, I mean, again, it has been such a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for broadcasting with me, and being my accountability partner and keeping me on track every single week. I can't even imagine what that's like, dealing with me every week, but I appreciate it all the time. Um, and in closing, if you are interested in Brandon, again, go ahead and find him through Facebook, his Facebook profile page, and on LinkedIn. He has a fairly robust LinkedIn. If you are looking for more information with me, you can find me at Broadcast Confident Now, or Facebook, my Facebook profile, which is the Magical Maestro, because we create magic in your life, getting you to shine both online and offline. Any closing comments, Brendan?
Stay with it.
Yeah,
Stay with it.
yeah. And have fun. Have fun.
Yes.
Most important part.
Yes. Yes. Have fun with your able, but when you're not able, know that it's coming. Stay with it.
Yeah, I love it.
We live in a universe full of duality. There's no here
Oh,
without there, no up without down. No fun
And if
without
you don't have
unfun.
a rockin' accountability partner like Brandon, you should really get yourself one, because nothing holds you more accountable to your consistency than an accountability partner. I do have more than one, and that is on purpose, for purpose, because entrepreneurship is a lonely road if you let it be. So it is just so important to have those relationships that will keep you accountable, that will keep you laughing, will hold space for you when you're crying and you're a puddle on the floor, and will just hold you to achieving your goals. Make it the best day possible. And bye for now.